G'day and welcome to ReDriven. Now, why is it that some car manufacturers just don't understand what we want from our cars? Take Honda, for example. They go and make one of the all-time greatest hot hatches and then wrap it in this hideous body kit and make it one of the ugliest cars of all time. Then you've got Alfa Romeo, beautiful looking cars that are drenched in Italian charm and romance, but as soon as that warranty's out, they have a habit of falling apart and dying. Which is why Mazda have sold an absolute bucket load of these things, the CX-5. When these are new, they did a great job at combining Japanese precision engineering, some genuine good looks and actual practicality. But now that these are a few years old and have a few thousand kilometres on them, are they still worthy of their acclaim? Are the good looks just hiding some gremlins under the skin? What do they like to live with every day? What do they cost to own and run? Most importantly, should you buy one? Let's find out. Now, before we get deep into the CX-5, can you please do us a favour and hit those like, subscribe and bell icon buttons? And hey, why not go and follow us on all the socials as well? Now, this is the second generation CX-5 produced from 2017 until, well, actually it's still in production. So even though this is a used car, technically it's still the current generation. And look, in this video, we will be focusing on the Australian variants of the CX-5, but if you're not from Australia, don't freak out, don't panic, because everything we're going to be going over should relate to CX-5s in your local market. We received this CX-5 in, funnily enough, 5 different trim variants with 4 different engine options and as either a front or all-wheel drive. Also, this generation CX-5 has received upgrades each year that it's been on sale. Obviously, some of the changes were bigger than others, and look, in this video, we'd love to go over every individual little change and graphic detail of every single variant and year model, but that would just take far too long. But we have gathered all that information and we've put it in our handy ReDriven cheat sheets. Our cheat sheets are invaluable as they provide a full breakdown of the car's model range, its common problems, what you need to look out for before you hand over your hard-earned cash, how much of that cash you should be handing over, and so much more. Check it out in the link below. So, does it look good? Yes. Of course it looks good. If you don't think this looks good, you should maybe pop down to your local optometrist and get those eyes seen to, because even though looks are technically subjective, this is objectively a very good looking thing. Although if you are looking at videoing or taking photos of your CX-5 on a regular basis, don't get the brown because it's a nightmare to shoot. Isn't it, Sam? Isn't it? Now, in saying all of that, it is aging just a tiny bit. There's a brand spanking new CX-5 coming just around the corner, but let us know in the comments section below, on a scale between 9 and 10, how attractive do you think this is? Between 9 and 10. Now, if you're the sort of person that likes to shout to the world that you've bought a top spec car and not the base spec, the CX-5 won't be for you, because this to a base model looks almost identical, except for the alloy wheels. They all look the same. Be like a Tesla Model S. The review for that is just up there. Now, this being the top spec Akira, you do get these lovely adaptive LED headlights, and I just love the 3D effect on the grille. Don't like the bonnet protector, that's ugly. This is great. As far as wear and tear and common issues to watch out for, this car has experienced a lot of life, but all the panel gaps are still precise and perfect. The paint's in really good condition. Okay, it's not a common issue, but on early model red ones, there are reports of the paint kind of flicking and peeling off just in tiny pieces. That might be because red is, as we all know, much faster than any other color. And maybe just the red paint can't handle the velocity of a red CX-5. That's probably what it is. But besides that, pretty bulletproof. So, how's the interior? Well, like the exterior, it's bloody lovely in here from a design aspect. It just looks fantastic. I feel like Mazda really bridged that gap between luxury European manufacturers and more budget-conscious Japanese and South Korean manufacturers. This looks fantastic. Now, there has been a slight update recently with a bigger infotainment screen and some other little minor changes, because it looks beautiful, but it is aging in here just a tiny bit, like the exterior. But again, there's a new one on the way, so the new one will probably freshen all this up a great deal. But I love this, like this wooden inlay across here and all the exposed stitching on the dash, and the dash is kind of squidgy to touch as well. I don't know why it's squidgy. Don't really touch the dashboard. Might be if you have a car accident, you're like, oh God, oh, it feels quite nice. Lovely. Now, being the Akira, this is swathed in leather, and the leather is wearing exceptionally well. This is the daily driver for a family. They've got 2 twin boys, and it's wearing great. It's not too shiny. Even the steering wheel, it's got thousands of Ks on it, wearing incredibly well. Friends of mine have one of these in the Max Sport trim level, meaning it has a fabric interior, and they also have 3 kids and a dog, and I've been in that car a bunch of times, and even their fabric interior, with the amount of abuse it cops, it's wearing really, really well. One thing of note, like the handbrake and the window switches, they've got like a little metal leading edge, and it just feels premium. Even the rotary controller and on the air conditioning controls, it's got like a bit of a knurled finish, and just, it feels premium. Even like this piano black finish, this normally should look absolute crap by now, but it looks good. Like it's obviously been used, but yeah, it just feels nice. One funny thing, like this all feels lovely, nice and squidgy, good buttons, everything feels good, but then near the cup holders, the center console here, it feels a bit crap. Not that you touch that often, but besides that, premium. Seating wise, the seating position is just spot on. You feel like you're in a car more than an SUV. You're all nice and hunkered down. These seats have a whole stack of adjustment, plus they're heated. It feels great. Now to the back seat. I'm 0.00934 of an American furlong tall. This is in my driving position, and the space is great. There's a decent amount of knee room, heaps of foot room, heaps of headroom. Glass house feels really spacious. Bloody lovely back here. Also, remember this car generally has 2 twin boys back here, so it does cop a bit of abuse, and you'd never tell. Everything's wearing incredibly well, and also, it still feels premium. Like you've still got all the stitching and the wooden inlays and the nice little metal buttons. In a lot of cars in this class, they just kind of cheap out on the back area here, but this, it feels great. So how's the tech? Well, as I mentioned before, the 2021 CX-5 has just received a pretty extensive infotainment upgrade, and fair enough, because this MZD Connect system is starting to feel a bit old. Look, it isn't horrible by any means, and depending on the spec, features include Bluetooth connectivity, satellite navigation, DAB radio, and a pretty decent sound system. Especially if it has the premium 10-speaker Bose sound system. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto were available from 2019. And look, all the details of which CX-5 gets what tech is listed in our cheat sheets. But all CX-5s feature push-button start, rear parking sensors, and a reversing camera. But the camera resolution is a bit like YouTube from 2009. Also, there have been some reports of the infotainment system crashing or just not working, but every report of those we've seen, Mazda have fixed up under warranty. Is it practical? Yes, as you can see, the Akira comes with a powered tailgate, and look, this isn't the biggest boot in its class, but I'm still pretty comfy back here. Also, there's a 12-volt power outlet, so the seats fold kind of flat with the pull of a lever, and a dedicated spot for a Sabre Pyramid tablet. Now these rear doors, they open to 90 degrees, and the opening is also quite large, so it's really easy to throw children or the elderly in and out. Practicality in the back seat, excellent. Really good sized door bins, there's a good sized mat pockets on the backs of the seats, you've got aircon vents here, plus in the flip down armrest you've got cup holders here, a little spot to slide your phone in, plus more storage there, and 2 USB ports to encourage your kids' addiction to their devices. And practicality up the front, you've got a spot up here for your sunglasses or garage door remote. Bloody close. Spot for your phone here, perfectly sized. Good size little bucket here with a removable tray. There's 2 USB ports just here. 2 cup holders here, good size door pockets, and an okay size glove box. So what goes wrong with these? Well, Mazda have a pretty good reputation when it comes to reliability, but is the CX-5 worthy of that reputation? I'm not a mechanic, I'm not qualified to answer that question, but Jim is.
Okay, I've gone back through our records of all the CX-5s we've had here, and with the petrols, what I discovered was really not much goes wrong. We have seen a couple of timing chain issues and a couple of minor engine oil leak issues. Very little goes wrong with the petrols. But the diesels, on the other hand, we have seen a few problems. We've seen turbo problems, we've seen EGR valve problems, we've also seen a lot of DPF problems. So if I was to choose one, I'd be choosing the petrol one. The petrols, with a good service history, are a bloody solid unit.
Is it safe? Yes, very safe. All CX-5s come with blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, multiple airbags, and a 5-star ANCAP safety rating. But depending on year and trim model, traffic sign recognition, driver attention alert, lane departure warning, lane keep assist systems, and adaptive cruise control are also available. Okay, what's it like to drive? Well, first up, vision is great. Even these A-pillars, they're not too intrusive in your vision out the front of it. The glass house is fantastic. There's a bit of a blind spot to the back, but you've got blind spot monitors to cover that. And the view out the back, the headrests in the back seat do hamper it just a little bit, but nothing to worry about. The suspension, even after many thousands of kilometers, is excellent. These roads are pretty crap and it soaks up all the potholes, all the ridges really well, really easily, very comfortable. Suspension, thumbs up. Okay, look, it pitches and rolls in corners a little bit. If you're pushing it, it's a CX-5, you're hardly going to be pushing it that often. But Mazda have nailed, even after this many years, Mazda have nailed that balance between sporty but still comfortable. Like, it's sort of luxurious, it's sort of sporty. It's just really well balanced. It handles so well. Suspension, great. For what it is. It's not a sports car, but for what this is, bang on. The steering is spot on. They've nailed that. It's perfectly weighted. There's a good amount of feel. Again, this is a family SUV, but it feels nice. It's the whole, Mazda zoom, enjoyable driving experience. Steering is a huge part of that. Okay, in terms of negatives, there's not many, but one is the amount of road noise you get, and it's something we noticed on the Mazda 3. The review for the Mazda 3 is up there. It's not horrible, but it's quite obvious. It does get a bit drony, especially on freeways. It's easy to live with. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. Okay, as far as other noises go, rattles and squeaks, none. I actually drove this on some really rough roads earlier to try and almost encourage some rattles and squeaks. Wasn't one. Silent. Now, we received the CX-5 with 4 different engines, a 2-litre petrol, a 2.5 litre petrol, a 2.2 litre diesel, and very recently a 2.5 litre turbo petrol. This being a 2018 Akira means it gets the 2.5 litre petrol in all drive. Front wheel drive is only in the 2-litre petrol models. There is a front wheel drive variant, but they only come in the Max and the Max Sport with the 2-litre petrol engine. But again, all the graphic details are in the cheat sheets. As for this 2.5 litre engine, it's pretty zippy. Again, not performance car, but it gets up and boogies really well. Also, it sounds great. This is a family SUV, and it sounds almost MX-5 like. Even after a few years, this engine and gearbox package, it's still smooth, still really responsive, and if you flick it into sport mode, it's instantly more responsive. I think sport's a big call. It should just be called enthusiastic button. It doesn't get that sporty. So the all-drive system in this, it's not like constant symmetrical all-drive in, say, a Subaru, but it still gives you that confidence of all drive. It's still clearly very secure on the road, especially in the wet and on any dirt or unsurfaced roads. But don't get me wrong, this is not a full drive. This is not built for proper off-roading. It's just a soft roader for around town and some slightly slippery circumstances. Look, overall from a driving perspective, the CX-5, even after this many years and this many kilometers, it's so good. It's so sorted. It just does everything incredibly well. It's completely worthy of Mazda's Zoom tagline. Love the driving experience. Pricing varies from around $20,000 for a base spec Max with over 100,000 Ks on it, and tops out at well over 55,000 Ks for, say, a 2020 top spec Akira. Mazda's claimed fuel usage ranges from 5.2 to 8.2 litres per 100 Ks, depending on the year model of CX-5 and what engine and drivetrain package it has. But on this test, we're seeing figures of 9.4 litres per 100 Ks. Mazda offer a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty with 5 years of roadside assist, meaning most CX-5s still have some factory support left on them. And you know what, even if they don't, as Jim alluded to, not much really goes wrong with them anyway. So, should you buy a Mazda CX-5? Absolutely not. No way. Do not buy one of these cars. I'm just kidding. Of course you should buy one. These are awesome. Actually, they're probably our pick of cars for this category of car. When new, the sweet spot of the CX-5 range is the Touring. But look, as the used market generally compresses the pricing differences between trim levels, our pick when it comes to used CX-5s is to find a petrol-engined GT with the lowest possible kilometres and in the best condition that your budget will allow. And look, as Jim alluded to, we'd be avoiding the diesels. The CX-5 is one of those cars that it just balances that knife edge of just doing everything incredibly well. Except in brown, because brown is near impossible to shoot. Don't buy the brown if you're going to shoot it. Otherwise, great. Thank you so much for watching, and what did you think of the CX-5? Let us know in the comments section below. And while you're at it, can you please hit those like, subscribe, and bell icon buttons? Go and follow us on the socials, and we'll see you next time. Thousands of kilometres on them. Are they still worthy of their... come on, here we go. When new, these did a great job at combining precision. Here we go.
Mazda CX-5, they're really good, not much goes wrong. Buy petrol, not diesel. Cheers.